Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Khatm Khwajagan on this, the 29th of October 2020, which also coincides with Maulid, which is the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Please excuse, I know I'm a little late today, but I'm having a bit of a busy day. Partly this is because this coincides with Maulid, partly it was because I've had meetings earlier in the day. And also there's something else that I've had to be monitoring, which is that there seems to have been a terrorist attack on a church in France, in Nice, which is really quite worrying. Anytime religious buildings are attacked, it's obviously completely out of order. There's no excuse for that. And no matter what excuse people try to use, no matter how they may try to justify it, I've heard that the perpetrator was shot, but he's in hospital, so I don't know how he's going to justify what he's done or try to. But there is no excuse for it. Religious buildings, whether they are churches, mosques, temples, synagogues, viharas, whatever kind of religious building they are, people go there to pray. People go there to seek counsel, to spend time in prayer and meditation with their God or whatever they believe in. These are holy sanctuaries. They should never ever be subject to any kind of violence. And people should be able to go to a church or a mosque or a temple of any kind and know that they will be safe in doing so, and they will be safe when they are at prayer, and they will be safe when they come out of that building. It always horrifies me when I hear of people being attacked at places of worship. I mean, it says more about the attackers than anything else possibly could, because for them, clearly nothing is sacred. To someone who really has faith, whatever their religion, whether they are Jewish or Muslim or Christian or Sikh or Hindu, anybody who has a religion, if they really have faith, they would respect a holy building, even if it's not a place that they would feel comfortable praying themselves. They would respect it. This is a place where people go to pray. And the fact that whoever this attacker was, and regardless whether he said Allahu Akbar or not, there's no faith in that. There's no faith in his actions. All there is hatred and violence, and nothing good can ever come of that. And I don't know what it is as human beings that some of us in this time have sunk to such lows that they can't even respect a place of worship, that they can't even respect that normal people going about their normal business are not targets. They're not targets of any kind of attack. There can be no justification that would stand up to scrutiny, even light scrutiny, when you're attacking ordinary people, even if it's not a place of worship, if they're in an office, or if they're in a shop, or if there is a school. There is no justification, there is never any kind of justification for attacking people in these situations. And I don't care what justifications people might try and come up with. There is none. The only justification can be in a conflict situation where there is a battle going on. And this too is something that we in the 21st century should be seeking to avoid. We should be seeking to find other ways that we can resolve our disputes internationally without going to war. War shows In war come out all of the worst qualities of human beings. And I don't mean to knock our servicemen and women who are well trained and disciplined within our proper armed forces. I have great respect for them. I'm not talking about them. But that war as a situation brings out the worst in people, and we know this from history. And the worst crimes and atrocities are always committed during wartime, because this is when law breaks down. Law and order breaks down. If there is a breakdown of law and order, then what happens is you end up with a vacuum where anything can happen. There are no parameters. There's no boundaries within which people are operating. Anything goes. And maybe after the war, people will be caught up with, they will be tried, and they'll be prosecuted. But during the war itself, terrible crimes are committed. So as human beings, we should be looking for ways that we can resolve our disputes without resorting to warfare. But going back to my original point, war is probably the only situation when you can justify that kind of violence. Especially if you're defending yourself against someone who's attacking you. But in the civilian realm, in the realm where people are peacefully going about their business, there is no violence that comes into these situations. If you're going into a shop and you're buying a product, there is no reason to act violently. Neither for the person who is the shopkeeper, nor the person who's going in there to purchase an item. If you're at a place of worship, there certainly isn't any excuse or reason for violence. If you disagree with that place of worship and their theology, just don't pray there. No one's asking you have to pray there. No one is saying that you have to accept their doctrines or theology. Whichever religion it is, no one says that. It's a choice. You can choose what makes sense to you and follow that and believe that and pray in those places of worship that make sense to you, just like I do. I embraced Islam 20 years ago. I live in the United Kingdom. This is a country that is traditionally Christian. But in more recent decades, it's become quite secular and open, and there are people of all sorts of beliefs in this country, and some people who are atheists. But no one stops me from going to the mosque and praying, well, except during lockdown, but that's only because of the coronavirus and, health reasons. As soon as that is finished with, nobody will be stopping me from going to pray in the mosque. And if I wanted to visit a gurdwara or a synagogue or a Hindu temple, no one would stop me. No one is saying that you have to pray in any particular place or another. It's, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he never went around, attacking people at churches. He forbade it. He actually signed charters with Christian communities in the Middle East and said that you are my citizens. If anyone comes and attacks you or treats you unjustly, it's the duty of the Muslims to come and defend you. It's the duty of the Muslims to come and help you. This was Muhammad Sallallahu promise to the Christians. This was also his promise to Jews that accepted him as a leader of his community and were peaceful people. This was even something which how he treated pagans that were peaceful pagans. In Medina, there are actually pagan citizens of Medina. When Prophet Muhammad ﷺ became the leader, some of them remained pagans, but they signed on to the charter in Medina that they accepted they had certain responsibilities. And just like all citizens do within any state, we all have certain responsibilities, we have certain duties. But religiously, they remain pagans. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't force them that you have to convert. I mean, this, I've always found it is remarkably what we would call today secular. But obviously Prophet Muhammad was a messenger of Allah. And even people from other religions who didn't recognize him as the messenger of Allah would recognize that he's the prophet of Islam. He's the messenger whom we follow. But yet the Prophet Muhammad, he didn't go around forcing people to become a different religion. Prophet Muhammad didn't attack people at their places of worship. He guaranteed their protection. That if they had a church, that if they had a monastery, even though we don't have monks in Islam, we don't have nuns within Islam, if they had a monastery or a convent, these buildings were protected. The people who prayed there and lived there were protected. In Sharia. And what kind of ignorant people do we have today going around? Some of them probably look at me and say, what does this Englishman know? What does this white man know about Islam? But what do they know? Those people who go and attack innocent people. What kind of Islam is that? And you can say the same thing about the Christians. You can say the same thing about those Christians who join groups like the KKK and attack people of ethnic minority backgrounds just because of who they were. Or those Christians who believe in fanatical cults and attack Muslims or Jews because of their religion. They have the same disease in their hearts that the extremists within the Muslim communities have. I mean, this is not what Jesus taught. It is not what Muhammad taught. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon them both. It's not what Moses taught. May Allah bless him too. All of them taught a way of life that was peaceful, that was responsible, that was caring, that accepted everybody, that invited people to worship their Lord and build harmonious communities. None of these messengers of Allah were warmongers. None of them were terrorists. They all outlawed terrorism. They all discouraged war. And when they permitted war, it was only within certain parameters. And yet today, what is this? What is this that we are seeing? When will this end? I hear recently ISIS is spreading in Africa. Why? They were defeated in Syria. They were defeated in Iraq. And yet they are being allowed to spread in Africa now. They're poison on another continent. Destroying communities in other countries. And what are people doing in this world to stop this kind of thing? And why are people attracted to it? I mean, where do you have to be as a person that you are attracted to violence? That you are attracted to tyrannizing ordinary people? That you are attracted to the crimes of ISIS I don't even want to mention. But what they did to women and children. And then they claim to be Muslims. I mean, how far from the beautiful message of the Messenger of Allah, whose birthday we are celebrating today, can people be? That they want to hurt people. That they want to commit crimes. That they want to kill people. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a messenger who inspired love in people. His companions looked at his face and they said, that they looked at the moon and they looked at his face. They looked at the moon and they looked at his face. And his face shined brighter than the moon. Now what does this mean? Obviously, the Messenger of Allah's face is not a light bulb. It's not mean that. It's a beautiful way of describing the love of the Messenger of Allah. That when they met the Messenger of Allah, the way he would look at them with love in his eyes, compassion in his eyes, with care and concern. That when they were with him, he smiled. This is what it means. Messenger of Allah was such a beautiful messenger who taught people wisdom, who taught people to stand up for justice, who taught people to care for the orphans, who taught people to love their neighbours, whoever their neighbours were, even not to go on Hajj until they took care of all of their neighbours in their street. This is the Messenger of Allah. He encapsulated love, care, concern. This is why Allah refers to him as the Rahmat lil Alameen, the mercy to all the worlds. It's because that's who he was. It's not just a title. And you can't have a title of the Rahmat lil Alameen if you go around doing crimes to people. It's not possible. The two things don't go together. Only person who can be a Rahmat lil Alameen is Rasulullah, is the Messenger of Allah. The one who, when he used to walk under a lady's house, and this lady always used to throw her rubbish at him. Horrible things. She collected horrible things, and every time Muhammad ﷺ used to walk under her window, she would tip stuff on him. Every time. Now imagine how you would be. Imagine if someone did that to you. Every time you walked near their house, they would throw things at you. You would be covered in all sorts of rubbish. Disgusting things that were thrown at you. How would you be? How would you feel? What would your response be in that situation? What was the response of the Messenger of Allah? The response of the Messenger of Allah was one day she didn't do it. And on that day, when she didn't throw stuff at him, he knocked on her door and he asked her if she was okay. And when he found that she wasn't well, he took care of her. He cooked for her. He helped her with whatever she needed help with. And then, what happened? This woman herself, she embraced Islam. And she apologized to him. She didn't realize. She didn't realize that that was who the Messenger of Allah was. And she felt so much regret in her heart for all the times that she'd thrown rubbish at him. But how many people would behave in that way? And this is just one thing that we can mention. And it wasn't just people. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ showed concern for animals. If he saw animals being overloaded, he would ask people, why are they doing that to them? And warn them that if you mistreat animals, that those animals will speak against you on the Day of Judgment. Because he cared about animals. He even cared about date palms. The one time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saw people doing something to the date palms which he felt uncomfortable with. Because Muhammad wasn't a farmer, he was a merchant by trade. So he didn't know the details about the farming. And this is no reflection on him. But he was concerned. He cared even about the date palms. He cared about trees. He encouraged people to plant trees. He encouraged people to look after everything that was around them. You know what? What can anyone who is violent or cruel have to do with Islam when this is our messenger? And this is not. I didn't want to even mention about this subject, but it is in the news today. You know, and may Allah forgive and bless whoever was injured or killed in these attacks, and grant them Jannatul Firdaus. But it's really troubling. It is really very troubling. I think I will start the Dhikr now. We could talk about this for a long time, but I think I shared what I wanted to share. And please read about the life of the Messenger of Allah. Please read how he was as a human being. This is our model. This is our guide within Islam for all Muslims, regardless of schools of thought, regardless of tariqat, regardless of minhaj. The Messenger of Allah is our model. And if even something about the way that Prophet Muhammad was, the way he treated people, the way he cared about people, if even something of that we can live in our own lives, imagine the blessing that is in that. Tremendous blessing. And it's not a model for no reason, it's a model because that's the best way to be as a human being. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Before we start anything, we should check our intentions. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. نويت الأبين نويت الأستاذ نويت القهوة نويت الاعتكاف نويت السلوك نويت الرياضة إلهي تعالى في هذا الجميع. And we start with the kalama shahada. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We seek the forgiveness of Allah through reciting astaghfirullah. And I should comment here that nothing is more beloved to Allah than the repentant sinner. We all sin. There's no point us pretending to be perfect and pretending we don't make mistakes. We all do. But Allah loves the one who accepts that this is how they are and seeks Allah's forgiveness. And verily, Allah is the most forgiving and most merciful. Bismillah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. أستغفر العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه إنه هو التواب الرحيم يا مسبب الأسباب يا مفاتيح الأبواب يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار يا دلائل المتخيرين يا غيث المستغيثين يا حي يا قيوم يا ذو الجلال والإكرام وأفوض أمري الله إن الله بصيرا بالعباد. Rabbi Tasharifa, direct your heart to the heart of your Sheikh, your spiritual teacher. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صلوات الشريفة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. 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 وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب إلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين صلوات الشريفة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد والسلام 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد والسلام. صلي ربي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي خديتني من الملك والأمتان والتويلها حديث فاتير السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في دنيا والآخرة توفاني مسلما والإكني بالصالحين أمان بالله صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إلا الشرف نبي وآله وأصحابه الكرام وإلا وحي أنبيائه والمرسلين وكرماء الشرعين وإلا إماتي أبوا وإلى مشيخنا في تariqat Naqshbandiyat عالية كاستان العليك خواجگان الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Sophia, you get it back.
There is no God but God. In Arabic, La ilaha illallah.
He's going pancake now.
La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
Salamun kolom mir Rabbir Rahim. 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 Salamun kulum min 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 Rabbir Rahim. Nur-i Muhammad salli Allah. 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 Noor Muhammad Salli Allah, 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 Noor Muhammad Salli Allah.
No!
Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim.
You're not allowed to walk. So stop getting the signal away. I need route.
إلى شرف النبي
No!
وآله وصحبه الكرام وإلى هواء صائب سرتينا وسبكيون الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Please don't do that, Elizabeth.
Mommy's name.
Okay, but don't do that, you might break your boat. Lovely. Can you...
Okay, come over.
No. You mean, Mommy?
Alright then.
The remembrance
Hide in here.
of Allah.
Mommy, it's alright. It's not gonna take it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
You're allowed to walk in my place.
Allah, 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 Allah. Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu 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 Allah. Allah, 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 Allahu 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 Allah, 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 Allah. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل والله قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allahu Allah Hak, 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 Allahu Allah Hay, 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 Allah Hay Ya Qayyum, Allah Hay Ya Qayyum, Allah Hay Ya Qayyum, Allah Hay Ya Qayyum. Allah Hay Ya Qayyum, 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 Allah Hay Ya Qayyum. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Bismillah. Calling on Allah's beautiful names. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Allah, Yahu, Ya Daim. Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Allah. Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur, Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur. Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur, Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur. Ya Sattar, Ya Fatah, Ya Sattar, Ya Fatah. Ya Sattar, Ya Fatah, Ya Sattar, Ya Fatah. Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Mu'in, Ya Mu'in, Ya Mu'in, Ya Mu'in, Ya Mu'in, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim. Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan. Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan. Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan. Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan. Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan. Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan. Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Allah. Ya Sultan, True Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Allah. Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Allah. Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Allah. Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Salawatu Sharifa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. صلي يا ربي وسلم على جميع أنبيائك ومرسلين وإن أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين على الأشراف الأمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات على الأفتال الأمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات على الأكمال الأمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات صلوات الله وملائكته وأنبيائه ورسوله وجميع خلقه على محمد وعلى آل محمد عليه وعليهم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته ورضي الله تبارك وتعالى عن سادتنا شبي رسول الله أجمعين وعن تبعنا بهم بإحسان وعن مسجدنا يوم الدين وعن علماء المتقين وعن أولياء الصالحين وعن مشايخنا بطريقة نقشبندية عالية قدس الله تعالى وخم زكية والنولى تعالى أجرته وبركة ودى الله تعالى علينا من بركاتهم وفيداتهم دائما والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله استعين الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Oh Allah, shower your blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad and his noble family and all of the previous prophets and all of their noble ancestors and noble descendants, and especially upon Muhammad's descendants, Imams Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Zain al-Abidin, Jafar Sadiq, and all of the Ahlul Bayt, all of the house of the Prophet, all of the righteous companions, the righteous caliphs, the scholars, the saints, and especially my sheikhs, Sufi Abdullah and Maulana Sheikh Nazim. Ya Allah, raise their stations in your divine presence and bless their souls for all eternity. O Allah, shower your blessings on Sunun Gunung Jati, upon all of the Wali Songo, Sheikh Yusuf and Kiai Adang Badruddin, and shower their souls with your blessings and raise their stations in the divine presence and bless their souls for all eternity. O Allah, shower your blessings upon my beloved father and bless his soul for all eternity, and raise his station in the heavens, purify his soul and bless him forever and ever. O Allah, shower your blessings upon my mum and my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and grant them to always be in good health and well-being, physically, mentally, spiritually. Grant them forgiveness for any mistakes that they made in their lives up until this point, and grant them success in every good endeavour which they do, and look after them as they looked after us as small children. O Allah, shower your blessings upon my brother and my sister, my brothers and sisters-in-law, and all of my nieces and nephews.
House birthday!
And bless them, Ya Allah. Grant them to always be in good health and well-being. Grant them forgiveness for any mistakes they make, and grant them success in every good thing which they set their minds and hearts to. O Allah, shower your blessings upon my beloved wife, Fiona, and her children, Sophia, Athena, and Elizabeth. Ya Allah, grant our family to be under your divine protection and blessing. Grant us forgiveness for all our mistakes, and shower us with your blessing. Inspire us with your guidance. Bless us with the resources that we need in order to look after ourselves and our family properly, and also fulfill our responsibilities to society and with humanity, which are really responsibilities to you, Allah. O Allah, shower your blessings upon us and forgive us. O Allah, bless all of my friends, especially those who've been with me through. Ya Allah, bless all of my friends, especially those who've been with me through difficult times, especially Sheikh Robin and Nisha, especially Rafiq and his family, Sheikh Amran and his family, Sharaz Yaqub and his family, Abdul Khabid and his family,
me some cheese in exchange.
Dr. Khurshid and his family, Mohammed Abbasi and his family, Devinder and his family,
No, actually, I'm serious. It was actually
Sakanda and his family, Nina and her family.
Did you take your cheese?
No, Sophie, it wasn't actually originally.
Bless Gary and his family. Bless Sean and his family. Bless Hannah and her family. Denisa and her family.
No,
Nuninga and her family.
that's not why.
Bless Nahid and her husband and grant them Shifa.
Mommy, is
Bless Haris and his family. Grant them to always be under your blessing and to be in good health.
told you. I never took it.
Ya Allah, shower your blessings
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14.
upon
14.
Maulana Sheikh Hisham and his family.
That's what I was saying.
And Sheikh Adang Badruddin's family. Sheikh Mehmet Matadil and his family.
Obese.
Sheikh Dawood Rassa'oin and his family. Sheikh Mohammed Amin Evans and his family. Sheikh Nuru and his family. Sheikh Babika and his family. Sheikh and his family. Ya Allah, bless all of my friends. Bless Mohammed Fraser Rahim and his family. Bless Ihya, Hassan, Wifni, Benny, Kang, Habil and their families. Bless Vicky and Agus and their families. Bless Her Majesty the Queen and her family. Bless Hafid Wan and his family. Ya Allah, shower your blessings upon all of my friends. However they are connected to me, whether through the Naqshbandi tariqat, or the Association of British Muslims, or Wolverhampton Interfaith, or Nadatul Ulama, or the interfaith and interfaith and social media networks which I'm a member of. However people are connected, Ya Allah, make this connection a connection between them and my sheikhs, and between my sheikhs and their sheikhs through to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and through the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to the Divine Presence. Ya Allah, make this as a channel through which they may receive blessings, guidance, support in everything in their lives, and attain forgiveness on the Day of Judgment. O Allah, shower your blessings upon all of them and help them with any difficulties with which they are facing. O Allah, shower your blessings. Shower your blessings upon everybody in our human family, and whether they are Muslims or not, they are all in the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is how Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he prayed for everyone. Ya Allah, bless everyone in our human family, and forgive us for our manifold mistakes, and inspire us with your wisdom. Inspire us to be able to do things in a better way, in a more beautiful way. For surely you are beautiful and you love beauty. For surely you are the Creator who created all the wonderful creation in this earth, and all the many diverse different people who have been born on this earth. Oh Allah, inspire us towards good. Inspire us towards humanity. Inspire us towards caring for each other, caring for all people, and caring for the environment and the other beings with which we share this planet. Ya Allah, lift from us this COVID-19 pandemic, and lift from us the fear from the hearts of people for a virus.
Okay. Before you lose it, hit your phone.
Look at your cake.
For surely there is anything to be feared, it's only you, Allah. We should take precautions for germs, but we shouldn't fear them.
I like
I
it.
think this is mine. We'll drink it anyway.
It's your
Oh, Allah.
birthday. It's your birthday.
Forgive us all.
It's your
This is
birthday.
my birthday cake.
And most of all, shower your blessings
See, this is my birthday.
upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu
This.
and his noble family.
This-
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. صل يا ربي وسلم على جميع أنبيائه والمرسلين وعلى كل أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إلى حضرات النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه الكرام وإلى أرواح سائر أنبيائه والمرسلين وقدماء الشرعين وإلى أرواح مشايخنا في طريقة نقشبندية آرية قصتان روحي إمام طريقة وقوتي كليكا شابويدين نقشبند ومدور ويسي بخاري وإلى مولانا شيخ عبد الله وفايز الدغستاني وإلا زندقية وإلا صوفي عبد الله وإلا مولانا الشيخ نازم وإلا مولانا الشيخ هشام وإلا قي أدانق بدر الدين وإلا الشيخ بادشاه وإلا الشيخ حبيب الله
Someone else.
وإلا غوستو
Cherries and dark.
وإلا الشيخ داود روساوين وإلا الشيخ محمد الديو وإلا الشيخ نور كباني وأستدينا وصديقيون الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر لله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر لله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر لله الحمد.
So white is approved.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي بأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي أمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي أمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي أمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي أمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.